Hi friends, this is Dipti and welcome to my channel Life Admin 365 and welcome to today's video. Today's video is a cook with me video where I'm sharing with you a few meals that I've prepped. On my list are 4 things that I want to share with you. First thing is Hakka noodles with Manchurian balls. In one of my earlier meal preps, you've seen how I've prepped the Manchurian balls and they are in the freezer. So on the day that I had planned to make Hakka noodles, I took the Manchurian balls out from the freezer and let it thaw before I could leave for work, so that by the time I got home, they were ready for us to use. The second on my list are the avocado parathas. I mentioned in one of my meal prep videos that we have some store-bought guacamole which nobody really liked and nobody was ready to eat. So instead of throwing it away, I put it in my freezer. Then it clicked me that I can make parathas out from this guacamole. The third thing on my hand are the cheesy tacos. Tuesday is a Taco Tuesday at our house and I'm sharing with you 2 different ways how we prepare cheesy tacos. And last but not least are the vegetable appe. I had a bunch of veggies that were lying in my refrigerator. So what I did was I just grated carrots, I chopped green beans and whatever was in the refrigerator to use up and make up this Rava appe. And without further ado, let's get started. Hakka noodles are very popular in my house. To boiling water, add little bit of salt, oil and add the Hakka noodles. They barely take 2 to 3 minutes to cook. Once they are cooked, you drain out all the water, add a little bit more oil and some salt and let them drain. While the Hakka noodles are draining, I'm going to fry my Manchurian balls in the Appe pan. These are the same Manchurian balls that you had seen me prepare in my meal prep video. So do check that video out. There you will see how I had pre-prepped the Manchurian balls. All I have to do is now deep fry them. I'm going to link that video up here in the card above and also in the description box below. Typically, I fry Manchurian balls in kadhai using a lot of oil, but today I wanted to test out if Appe pan fried Manchurian balls were as good as kadhai fried Manchurian balls. And they did not disappoint me at all. I had partially cooked this during my meal prepping and now I double fried them to ensure that they were fully cooked from the inside. Next is to prepare the gravy for the Manchurian balls. A kadhai or a pot, add about 2 tablespoons of oil. Next, homemade chili garlic sauce followed by the addition of onions and green peppers. Once the onions have softened, I'm going to take a portion out from these and use it for my Hakka noodle prep. Next, go in the fried Manchurian ball followed by a slurry of cornstarch. I made the cornstarch slurry by diluting 1 tablespoon of red chili paste with 3 tablespoons of tap water followed by the addition of 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Turn the heat to low, mix everything and then add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. Mix everything well, let the sauce and the Manchurian balls simmer on low medium heat for a few minutes and they are ready. To another pan, add the reserved veggies, saute it on low medium heat for a couple minutes, then add the prepared noodles. While the noodles were draining, I seasoned them with a tablespoon of soy sauce and added these along with soy sauce, a little bit of chopped green chilies and sauteed everything once more. And the noodles were ready. Then nested these hot noodles on a plate and topped them with saucy Manchurian balls and gravy. Next in line are parathas made from store-bought guacamole. To the stand mixer bowl, I added 4 cups of whole wheat flour, about 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of ajwain, 12-ounce tub of guacamole and crushed green chilies. Rather than discard the store-bought guacamole that no one liked, I used it up to make parathas. As the dough was kneaded, I added 2 tablespoons of sour cream and 2 tablespoons of avocado oil instead of water to bring everything together. I didn't need to add any other seasoning other than my homemade red chili paste because the guacamole was already seasoned. Once the dough was kneaded, I smoothened it out and divided into 16 pieces. Initially, I was going to roll out the dough using my rolling pin. Then at the last minute, I decided to use my tortilla press instead. Because the tortilla press is small, I had to readjust the dough ball size and instead of 16, I had about 22 dough balls. To make these parathas, I placed the dough ball in between the 2 sheets and pressed couple of times. Peeled the top sheet and picked up the paratha along with the bottom sheet and placed it on a plate. Repeated the process and stacked the pressed out parathas on top of each other. It is important to keep the bottom plastic sheet along with the parathas so that they don't stick when you're stacking them. Towards the end of pressing out the parathas, I started heating my tawa on medium-high heat, and by the time I had pressed out all of the dough balls, tawa was hot and set to go. Then peeled off the pressed out paratha from the plastic sheet and placed it on hot tawa and discarded the plastic plastic sheet. Once small bubbles started forming on the top surface, I flipped it and with light pressure and turning action, I cooked the parathas until they puffed up. Then smeared oil on the top side, flipped it over and cooked it for a few more seconds and took it off the tawa. All parathas turned out soft and remained so for quite some time. I served them along with yogurt and hot and sweet mango relish. We ate these parathas for our lunch as well as breakfast the next day. For Taco Tuesdays, I always have refried pinto and kidney beans mixture ready to go. I soaked 1 cup each of pinto and kidney beans overnight and then pressure cooked them for 4 whistles. Once they were ready, I blended them to a paste-like consistency. To a hot pan, I added 2 tablespoons of oil, half a cup of diced tomatoes, cooked that for a few minutes, then seasoned that with 1 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons garlic powder, 2 teaspoons red chili powder and mixed everything. Once the tomatoes softened and cooked, I added the mushed bean mixture, chopped cilantro and lemon juice and gave everything a thorough mix and cooked on medium heat for good 5 to 7 minutes until most of the moisture was evaporated and the spatula could stand by itself in the mixture. Transfer the bean mixture to a glass container. With the refried beans ready, it was time to get the tortillas ready. Warmed up the tortillas on low-medium heat, applied butter over and flipped, applied some more butter and pressed and cooked until both sides were crisp. While I was prepping the tortillas, my boys gathered the other taco fillings. Preparing these Chalupa Style Tacos was a breeze once all the fillings were gathered around. I applied taco sauce to the tortillas, then smeared a dollop of sour cream and placed these tortillas in a taco shell holder and started filling them with refried beans, cilantro, lime rice and shredded cheddar cheese and then served them with more taco sauce on the top. Another way we made cheesy tacos was very similar to the Chalupa Style Tacos that I just showed. But instead of filling them on counter, I layered the toppings on half a side of the tortillas while they were still on the griddle, then folded the other half over the fillings, flipped and crisped this side, then added some more cheese on the top side, flipped and crisped this other side as well. Serve this with a simple salad and taco sauce on the side. Last but not least are the vegetable Rava Appe. To make these, I soaked 2 cups of Semolina or Rava in 1.5 cups of homemade yogurt. This is yogurt that did not set well and once again was on the verge of being discarded. So I used it for making these Appe. I soaked the Rava overnight so that it was ready for me the first thing in the morning and I could make it before going to work. You don't need to soak it overnight. 45 minutes to 1 hour is good as well. Soaking Rava well is the key to getting the perfect Appe. Typically, I would have sauteed the veggies, but today I added them uncooked with the assumption that since the carrots were finely grated, they would cook well in the Appe pan. Then I seasoned the batter with salt, hing, cilantro and curry leaves, mixed everything very well and adjusted the consistency with water and at the last minute added 2 teaspoons of baking soda, activating it with little bit of water. Before adding baking soda, I had kept my Appe pan for heating and now it was ready to use. I brushed the Appe slots with oil and loaded them with batter and cooked the batter on medium heat until it started firming up. Then checked the bottoms of the Appe and when they were light golden, cooked covered for about 2 minutes on each side, turned them over with the aid of a spoon and stick. Repeated the process until all the batter was used up. Served part of them warm with coconut chutney and froze the remaining in a freezer safe zipped up bag for later use. The best way to use the frozen Appe is to thaw them for good 5 to 6 hours and then toast them in a toaster oven for about 5 to 6 minutes at about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. With that said, let me share with you 2 bonus meal ideas. The first one is amboli or Maharashtrian style Uttappam. For making amboli, which are soft and spongy pancakes, I soak both rice and urad dal along with the fenugreek seeds or the methi seeds together. After about 8 to 10 hours of soaking and about 30 minutes before grinding, I soaked 1 cup of poha in 2 cups of hot water and transferred the soaked dal rice mixture into my blender jar. Drained out the excess water from poha, added it to the blender jar and ground everything to form a fine batter. Transferred the batter to a large measuring cup, then added some hot water to the blender jar, blended everything to get all the remaining part of the batter and transferred it to the big jar, mixed everything thoroughly, then split the batter into 2 halves. Covered and kept them in a draft-free area for fermenting. For 24 hours of fermenting, I kept 1 portion of the batter to make ambolis and used the second portion of the batter to make uttappam uttappam. So I ladled the batter on the hot griddle set at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, topped it with chopped onions and cilantro and salted butter. I cooked until the edges started drying out and the surface was covered with bubbles. Then flipped the uttappam, cooked for another minute or so, then removed it from the griddle, scraped off the crusty onion bits that were sticking to the griddle, and wiped the griddle with damp towel before ladling out batter onto the griddle. From this batter, I got 10 uttappams. In between making uttappams, I was making tomato chutney that I was going to serve along with uttappam. Heated 2 tablespoons of oil in a pot. To it, I added cumin seeds, half a cup of chopped onions, sauteed this and added 2 chopped Roma tomatoes, 1 tablespoon of homemade red chili paste, added hing and salt to taste. Mixed well and cooked covered for 2 to 3 minutes. Removed the lid, added crushed garlic, scraping off every bit using the knife, covered and cooked for another 2 to 3 minutes. Mixed everything well and continued with the mashing and mixing until the tomatoes were almost pasty. Then added chopped cilantro, water, mixed some more and covered and cooked for another minute or 2. Then blended using a handheld blender to form a slightly textured tomato chutney. Prepared tadka by heating oil, to which I added mustard seeds, hing and curry leaves and added this to the tomato chutney. Mixed everything well and transferred to a serving bowl and garnished it with cilantro leaves. My tadka burned a little bit because I was going back and forth between making uttappams and cleaning the small splashes from the chutney blending. Oh, my OCD once more. The second bonus recipe in this video is avocado toast. To prepare this, I kept bread for toasting in a countertop toaster oven. While the bread was toasting, I cut the avocado half lengthwise, used a knife to hack out the seed or the pith, and then using a spoon, scooped out the avocado meat into the bowl. Seasoned the meat with garlic powder, crushed black pepper, red chili powder, some salt and a little bit of lemon juice and mushed everything together. This was the topping for my toast. Spread a generous amount of avocado mush on the toasted bread and garnished it with some shredded cheese. This was a healthy and a filling breakfast for all of us. Well, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and give this video a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing to my channel for more such meal planning, meal prepping and cooking videos. Thank you all.